The Sailor by Letitia Elizabeth Landon. He was their last and their only child, but one remaining of many. And is not the blossom the last on the bough, the most beloved of any? We brought him up mid the mountain and flood, till the spirit of sickness was banished, and the roses of health laughed on the cheek whose hectic bloom had vanished. And chiefly it was the boy's delight to make ships of slips of willow, and when he would call the lake a sea, and the rippling wave a billow. And he laughed on the long and winter's night to read each gallant story of the brave had raised the blood-red flag and died for their country's glory. And had some had sailed to stranger climes, with but sea and sky before them, till the God whose marvels they'd seen saw fit to their native land to restore them. His mother wept, but his heart was fixed on the sailor's life of danger. He envied the wind, for it could be all the wild sea waves arranger. She blessed him beside his father's grave, and the setting sun shone o'er him. His lighted brow seemed an augury of the life that lay before him. Oh, how besketching she found it so, and her mother's grief concealing. While he was still by her side, she felt the glow of her sailor's feeling. But when he went, and she saw him turn, and gazed on the home he was leaving, what bitter tears washed away the web the very hope had been weaving. That night she sat down to her lonely meal, and wept. There was none to chide her. That night it was a servant's hand laid the book of prayer beside her. The boy was glad. But one fond thought of the mother who smoothed his pillow filled his eyes with tears, when, for the first time, his slumber was waked by the pillow. But he slept mid dreams of a blood-red flag, the ball and the grape-shots rattle, the cutlass sweeping the boarded deck, and the storm of an ocean battle. But his ship was bound for a sultry clime, where an Indian sun was beaming, and from every wind that swept his sail was the breath of fever streaming. And the men who had stood unscathed when the bolts like dust on the gale were flying, and those whom the tempest of night had spared, were now like spring leaves dying. He, too, was fading. That sailor youth, the rose of his cheek had departed, and his thought had turned to his own dear home. The mother he left broken-hearted. It was one evening, the signal gun or the echoing wind was ringing, and the warning waves broke round the ship as if they a dirge were singing. He heard the sound, his steps grew faint, and his pale brow waxed yet paler. Next day the sea or the hammock broke, where slept the youthful sailor. 'Tis the churchyard here where his father rests, here his mother's grave is making, and his is where the wild wind sweeps and the ocean waves are breaking.